I'm Sheila Lamberson, and from a background perspective, I grew up in Southern Illinois. My formal education, I earned my BFA in painting with a minor in drawing from SIU Carbondale, and from there I went to graduate school and worked toward my MFA at the University of Wyoming, and I studied painting and printmaking. I've always been interested in color and the application of paint, and in my undergraduate I was introduced to oil painting, and I love the lusciousness of it and the vibrancy of it and the endless color possibilities, and I've just really come to also love the whole process. And I think that is, I've done some other things, and I played around with photography and some black and white photography and some different, and of course pen and ink. Generally you've had exposure to a lot of different mediums if you've had formal education, and I enjoyed sculpture a lot as well. But there's just something that draws me back to the application of color and just the tactileness of oil paint. And actually I like the smell too, which people think that's kind of weird, but I do like the smell. And I've been lucky that I haven't had any problem with that. I know I have a lot of artist friends that have had issues and they've moved to another medium, but I'm lucky that I have not had that. So, and the more I get into my life and painting and spending more time in my artistic pursuits, the more I am, I think, evolving even more in the application of the paint and the nuances that you can create, and just the whole surface quality and the depth in oil painting. That's really important to me. Whether I am doing a more simplified composition or something that is more complex, I tend to simplify shapes, but I want complexity in color. One of the most important things is just looking and seeing and observing. And I am really drawn to strong lighting, where it creates a sense of light and shadows. And these create patterns. And so my eye instantly, it's like I'm obsessed and I can't help myself. My eye goes to these patterns, and therefore everything is potential subject matter. And I have a pretty wide subject matter that I draw from because of that, because it's always about the light and what does that do to the color. And in my mind I'm always calculating, how would I translate that into paint, and what is interesting about that and those patterns that the shadows and the light create. And again, that becomes the formation of a composition, and it's just a constant dialogue in my head everywhere I see. I watch that if I'm driving, I'm looking at the sky. I like the wide open skies, wide open spaces. I like to watch the quality of the clouds in the sky and how that plays off what's in the landscape below. But it could also be a still life. It could also be, I've even painted my refrigerator door, inside with the condiments, because there was interesting lighting and shapes and shadows. So it's always about the light. I think that's why the title for our exhibition is so spot on for me. It's the color of light. It really is about what does light do to color, and it's just an ongoing quest to interpret that through paint. This show is with Richard McAlpin, who we did not know each other before this. We haven't met in person yet. I'm looking forward to that. But we are both drawn to interpretations of color and light. And we have had similar influences. I think we both are really drawn to Georgia O'Keeffe's work, which was an interesting realization through some of our online communications with each other. And so color is paramount to both of us, and application of that color. I would say that there's also a sense of movement and gesturalness in our work. I think he has talked to me about kind of that musical quality, and I have talked in my words expressing things being lyrical when I'm successful, and I think that's another correlation that you might not necessarily get, but if you know that about how we feel about our work, then you might see that too. But it's very gestural. There's a lot of energy, I think, in both our works, and I assume that he's similar in that I'm very animated when I'm painting. I have to paint very fast, even though the paintings take many sessions over weeks because there's drying. It's oil paint, so there's drying. It has to happen in between the layers, and frankly, I have to figure out, you know, what I need to do next and assess where I'm at and my next steps. But I paint very quickly when I'm painting, and I think that keeps that sense of life and energy. I mean, no matter what the subject is, I want there to be a gestural energy radiating from the work. I want you to feel how I feel when I paint it, which is also how I feel when I saw what inspired me to paint that. There was something there that grabbed me, something interesting, and I want whoever is looking at the painting to see and feel that as well.